Rwandan President Paul Kagame said on Monday that the M23 rebel movement in eastern Congo exists only because its fighters have been denied their rights in their country. Western nations have accused Rwanda of supporting the M23 rebels, a Tutsi-led movement.
Why do they exist? Why are they fighting? Why do they have arms? Is another question. It is also a simple question. They exist because they have been denied their rights as citizens of that country. They are called Tutsis of Rwanda.
Rwanda denies backing the rebel group and in turn accuses Congo of supporting another group, the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda, or FDLR, founded by Hutus who fled Rwanda after the genocide.
Why are we being accused as Rwanda of supporting M23? And I'm saying even those who accuse us, actually I should accuse them of not supporting M23 because it is as if they agree with the injustice that is being done to this community.
The instability across Rwanda's border poses a security threat to the region 30 years on from the 1994 genocide, which killed more than 1 million people. Over 100 days, starting on April 7, 1994, Tutsis and moderate Hutus were systematically massacred by Hutu extremists. Kagame has been president since 2000, but effectively in control since his rebel force in Rwandan Patriotic Front marched into Kigali in 1994 to end the genocide. 70-year-old farmer Mandisirei Mbarinyo in Zimbabwe is shelling the few maize cobs she managed to retrieve from her land. It has been parched by a drought ravaging southern Africa.
This is by far the worst drought in years. Ever since I was born, I have never seen such a drought. This year is too much. We're going to starve. We were expecting that we would harvest and sell to the national granary, but that will not happen. The heat was just too much. We last had rain in January. By the time the rain came back briefly, part of my crops had already wilted.
She said she only has enough grain for the next 2 months. Aid agency Oxfam warned last week that more than 24 million people in southern Africa face hunger, malnutrition and water scarcity because of the region's worst drought in years. It's partly due to the naturally occurring El Niño, when an abnormal warming of the waters in the eastern Pacific radiates into the air, leading to hotter weather across the world. Higher average temperatures produced by greenhouse gas emissions also contributed to the lack of water. In neighboring Malawi, crop theft has become a problem as food sources become scarcer. Ulalia Lapasoni's farm failed to produce maize because of the drought.
Farming has performed poorly this year. It is so pathetic. I'm short of words. All I am asking is for the government to assist us, be it with money, but I would not want cash because it would be spent on unimportant things. We need urgent food supplies and other non-food items as may be available.
Malawi President Lazarus Chakwera has asked international aid agency donors to help the country avoid hunger.
Had to declare a state of disaster.
Zambia, Malawi and Zimbabwe have all declared a state of disaster. A prominent Chadian opposition leader who was killed in February by government troops appears to have been shot in the side of the head at close range. That's according to 5 forensic experts who refute a photo of his dead body for Reuters. The findings call into question statements by Chadian officials that Yahya Dillo was shot dead in an exchange of fire on February 28th, when security forces tried to arrest him at his party's headquarters in the capital. Professor Derek Pounder, a UK-based pathologist, said the visible gunshot wound was incompatible with a scenario of an exchange of gunfire.
This is a contact wound to the head. In other words, the muzzle of the gun was pressed against the head when the shot was fired.
On February 29th, Chad's communications minister said that Dillo had fired on security forces sent to detain him for alleged involvement in violent clashes and that he died of injuries sustained when they shot back. The same day, Reuters received a photo showing Dillo's head. It revealed a large wound near Dillo's temple on the right-hand side of his head. All 5 forensic pathologists consulted by Reuters about the photograph said the blackened skin around the round entry wound on Dillo's head suggested that he was shot at close range.
There are 3 photographs of the wound to the right side of the head. The wound is to the temple, halfway between the ear and the eye in this region. When we look at the wound, we can see that the edges of the wound are blackened with soot and dirt, so that the soot is seared into the skin. Also, there are small round particles of propellant embedded at the edges of the wound.
The assault on Dillo's headquarters was conducted by members of the Rapid Intervention Force, or FIR, a unit only recently set up by President Mohamed Idris Deby to counterbalance the influence of the powerful Presidential Guard, several sources say. Hours before he was killed, Dillo said that the party officers were surrounded by FIR troops. They want to kill us, he said in an audio
has submitted a complete inventory of Congolese works of art and artifacts, which potentially could be returned to the former African colony. The list did this Thursday during a visit by DRC Prime Minister Jean-Michel Kang.
Day later, it was
Belgium has one of the largest collections of African objects in the world.
Rights groups have called for an independent
I'm not really going to take this as repairing wounds, but I want to take it as a very voluntary act of having relationships today that are not only improved, but very much calmed down in comparison with our expectations. The Belgian Prime Minister described the moment as a step forward in building a partnership of trust. This program of restitutions is an important element that shows the way we want to work together. It is a partnership between the 2 countries and a partnership of trust. The Royal Museum of Central Africa opened in Brussels in 1898.
Africa's relations with other respective regions across the world came under limelight in the ongoing AU-EU summit in Brussels on Thursday. The President of the African Union Commission, Moussa Faki Mahamat,